Good morning and welcome to the covertknits podcast. I'm your host, Abigail Covert. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today is Sunday, June 14th, and I'm coming to you from Omaha, Nebraska. I want to thank all of my new followers for stopping by and checking out the podcast and taking time to watch. I want to thank anybody who's a returning viewer for watching. And I also want to take a moment to thank everybody who's taken the time to comment, subscribe, all of those things to the channel. It is, I didn't realize before I was a podcaster how exciting that is and how important it is to be able to connect with the viewers in that way. I've been somebody that watches podcasts for a long time, but I rarely ever comment or interact. I didn't really see what the point was. I just assumed that the people making the videos would see that I was watching and that was enough, but and it is enough. If that's what you do, that's totally fine. But it is really nice to be able to connect with the viewers. That's why I decided to podcast. So thank you so much. I really appreciate all of the support. I know that I have definitely lost some followers and subscribers in the last few weeks because I have had a lot to say on Black Lives Matter and everything that's going on here in this country and around the world. And that's okay. I really don't do it for the numbers or anything like that. I do it to connect with people and to reach out to more of the knitting community, a community that I've always loved, but really has a lot of growing to do. So, again, thank you for stopping by, and if you've left, that's fine too. We will talk a little bit about Black Lives Matter first thing this morning, as I've been doing at all of my podcasts recently. I have one finished object, one work in progress, all having to do with my knit along. So we'll talk quite a bit about the knit along. I have a little bit of stash enhancement and some knitting goals, and that should wrap us up for today. So first, I don't want to get complacent, which is something I talked about last week in regards to Black Lives Matter and the changes that we need to make in our society in regards to systemic racism. So I have been doing a lot this week in the idea of listening and kind of making sure that the voices I'm listening to are the ones that need to be heard. But there's more than just listening that needs to happen, and that next step is to take action. There's lots of ways to do that. They don't all involve money, which I know is a common issue. You don't have to make donations. You don't have to make purchases, though that's a great way to take action. Donate to organizations that are already doing the work. Buy from Black-owned businesses. But you can also signal boost those businesses. You don't have to purchase from them if you don't have the funds right now, but you can make sure that people know about them. You can make sure that you're talking to your friends and family about systemic racism and the issues in this country, and to those people that maybe don't agree with you. I'm not saying argue with people, and obviously don't take the time to argue with trolls on the internet, but we need to be talking to the people that don't already agree with us or see things the way that we see them. There's no progress made if we're not also trying to reach out and teach people that may have a different point of view or may be coming from a different place. You can write letters to your representatives, especially if you live here in the States. There are elections coming up in November, not just national elections, but local elections as well. It's important to see Black people and people of color on your school boards, on your city councils, as mayors, as governors. That's really important, and those elections matter almost as much, if not more than, the big national elections. and in this time, make sure that you're registered to vote. If you think you are, just double check it. It's pretty easy to do. There's all kinds of resources out there. Just Google register to vote, and you can check it. And that's really what I wanted to chat about today. Just making sure that we're taking those next steps besides listening and learning. We're all going to be learning forever. I'm paraphrasing a little bit what Adela of Lola Bean Yarn Company said this morning. We all will be listening and learning for the rest of our lives, but if you don't take action, that doesn't mean anything. It's akin to thoughts and prayers, and that doesn't help change anything. So that is my, I guess, for lack of a better word, lecture for this morning. I've been accused of being a lecturer in this regard, and I'm not. I'm not an expert. I'm just trying to make sure that as a white person and talking to what I know are quite a few white subscribers, that we are moving forward and not becoming stagnant and not becoming complacent. So, all right. On that note, we're going to move on to a little bit of knitting chat. I have one finished object this week. It is for my sock-a-thon, and I do this every week. Let's talk about the sock-a-thon first. It is the Pride Sock-a-thon 2020. Hashtag will be down here for you. It is my month-long Pride Month knit-along. You just have to cast on a pair of rainbow-themed socks between June 1st and June 30th and hashtag it with the hashtag on Instagram. And once you've done that, you are entered in to win one of the two prizes that we have. We have a skein of yarn from To The Max Yarn Company. This is the yarn. It is the Pansexual Pride colorway that they have dyed up. So this is one of the prizes. And the other prize is the Pride Sock Collection ebook by Makers Knitting, which is Matt Akers on Instagram. And it is a collection of 8 socks, all of them having to do with the colors on the Pride flag. So I will put a picture somewhere up here for you to see those. So that is the second prize, is a copy of that ebook collection. I purchased the collection. I haven't knit any socks from it yet, but I've looked through it and they are all fantastic, and I can't wait to start knitting them. So those are our two prizes for the Pride Sock-a-thon 2020. I am doing mine a little bit different. I am trying to knit as many pairs of socks in the month of June as I can. And for every pair that I finish, I will be donating $25 to the Trevor Project, which is a very important organization that focuses on suicide prevention and help for LGBTQ youth. So they are a wonderful organization. If you are looking for an organization to donate to for Pride Month, I would definitely recommend them. And they will be getting at least $75 for me because I have finished pair number 3. So this is my finished object for the week. This is my pair 3 of socks. Put one of them down. Okay, so this yarn is Turtle Pearl Yarns. You can find her on Etsy. And the colorway is What Does It Mean? And I knit my socks 2 at a time, cuff down, 64 stitches. I use the Mina's 2 at a time sock pattern. It's a free pattern by the Knitting Expat, Mina Philipp, as kind of my guide. And then I do a German short row heel. This is a contrasting, I think it's a Knit Pick Stroll is the yarn I use there. And then a semi-rounded toe. I did 12 rounds in the 2x2 ribbing. I think I did about 50 rounds on the leg. This one, it was more about making sure that the heel was in the middle of this gray stripe. And then I do about 50 on the foot as well. But again, it was more getting to finishing the rainbow before I started the decreases. So yeah, this is my only finished object for the week. I love them. The yarn was fun to work with. I love the rainbows. I like how it goes one way and then it's the opposite. and just broken up by those bands of steely gray blue. So yeah, that is my finished object for the week. So let's move on to whips. My whip is my pair number 4 of my sock-a-thon yarns, or socks. I am using, this one is Yarn Ink. And the colorway is Blackened Rainbow with Pink. This has been in my stash for quite a while. And I am finished with the legs and just getting ready to start the heels. So you'll see this yarn is definitely pooling. Get that up there. I love the colors. I feel like this is very Easter egg like, but it's a lot of fun. So that is that yarn. I was hoping to have this pair done by the time I podcast today, but I am actually in the process of renovating and remodeling my basement, and that took up a lot more time this week than I had thought it would, and required a lot more physical labor than I thought it would, and I was so tired at the end of the days that I thought I would be knitting these that I just didn't have time. So I ran out of time, but I am hoping to have these done by end of day tomorrow, which is June 15th, which would mean I had done 4 pairs in the first half of the month, so that I could knit 4 pairs in the second half of the month. So that's my goal. My goal has always been 8 pairs of socks. Last year when I did this, I knit 6. So I'm hoping to keep the pace up and do 8 pairs this month, and be able to make a donation of $200 to the Trevor Project. So this is pair number 4. I'm housing that in my Whimsy Stitches project bag, which I love, with the leather handle and this awesome rainbows inside. And I have my Neighborhood Fiber Company Unity rainbow pin and my Shelly Can Yarn Ovaries pin on there. My rainbow sheep. I'm definitely one of the rainbow sheeps in my family. We have several, so dropping yarn. Okay, so next let's go to some of the yarns that I'm going to be knitting up next. I have a hard time picking from my rainbow stash of yarn. You'll see, obviously, I have a lot of yarn. That's just part of it. So I got my sister to dig through my rainbow bag of yarn and had her pick out a couple of skeins. So these are 3 of the 4 skeins that I'm hoping to use for the remainder of the 4 pairs that I want to knit. So the first is the LGBTQIA yarn from To The Max Yarn Company, which I love. And this is going towards the idea of, I'm in theory, I need to stop buying yarn. I'm in theory trying to knit up all the yarn I purchased in 2019 in 2020 in this year. So this was a skein that was purchased this year, so I'm hoping to knit this up this month. The next one is this beauty that should micro stripe. This is from a Whimsical Wood yarn company, and this colorway is Rainbow Ass. She has a lot of really fun, she has a whole line of ass themed named yarn, and this is the rainbow. So that's that one. And then finally the one that she picked is this Socks That Rock lightweight fingering from Blue Moon Fiber Arts, and this colorway is Let Your Love Light Shine. It's very neon-y. And this one I've had in the stash for several years. So that is, I have a lot of Blue Moon Fiber Arts in the stash. I think I've only knit 1 or 2 pairs, but I do love it. So that is the 3rd pair that she picked. So the 4th pair, to round out my 8 pairs, is actually comes with the yarn that I purchased this week. So I did make one more yarn purchase. I don't have any more yarn coming. I do have a couple of other knitting related things, but I haven't bought any more yarn. But I did make a purchase from Knit Circus Yarns this week. I purchased 4 gradient sock sets to knit socks. So the 4th pair of socks that I'm going to knit for the sock-a-thon, again trying to use up yarn that I purchased in 2020, is this. This is their Love is Love colorway, and this is their Greatest of Ease base. It's their medium sock set. So each cake is 150 yards, so it's 300 yards total, 75 grams, which is perfect for me. I like to knit a little bit over ankle length socks for myself, so these are perfect. So that is one of the 4 that I purchased, and that will be knit this month. And then I purchased this skein, or this set. This one is Paris is Always a Good Idea. This one will be a gift pair of socks. I purchased this one. I love a good pun, and this one is Apple of My Pie. Also a gradient. That one will also be a gift. And finally, this one is for me. This is what started me down the rabbit hole, as I'd seen this. This is a gradient, and it's called Silly Old Bear. I'm a huge Winnie the Pooh fan. So that's that yarn. So those are the purchases I made this week. And again, I'm hoping to use up most of the yarn I purchased this year in 2020. So, knitting goals. I didn't quite meet my knitting goal for last week. My goal was to have the 4th pair finished for the sock-a-thon, and the 5th pair wound up and ready to go. The 5th pair will probably be my Love is Love, so that's already wound up, but I didn't finish pair 4. So now the goal is to finish pair 4 by end of day tomorrow, start pair 5, and be working on pair 6 by next week. It doesn't have to be finished, but I would like to be working on pair 6 by next Sunday. So those are my knitting goals for the week. It's okay that I didn't complete them. I am kind of on a timeline. I do have an idea of where I would like to be in order to make the $200 donation to the Trevor Project. But with all goals, it's the goal, but it's not the end of the world if I don't hit it. I'll just readjust and keep moving forward and keep knitting socks. So that's all I have on that. I did want to touch really quick on Rhinebeck, which is the New York Sheep and Wool Festival. I know almost all the festivals this year have been canceled, and Rhinebeck is no exception. They will be doing a virtual show. They announced that this week. This was going to be my first year attending Rhinebeck. I had purchased my Airbnb. I was working on my plans for what events I was going to. And I know I'm not the only one. And it is really sad. And I had a day where I was very depressed that I would not get to go to Rhinebeck for the first time this year. But it's the right decision, and it makes sense. And now I'm going to look forward to hopefully being able to schedule work and whatnot so that I can go in 2021. So it's sad. And this would have been the second major festival that I'd been to. I have went to Maryland Sheep and Wool back in 2018, which was fantastic, and I loved it. But I've always, for years and years, I've dreamed of going to New York Sheep and Wool. I was going to go with my mom, who's not a knitter and thinks that we're all crazy, but loves to support me nonetheless. And we love to travel together. So we were going to go rent our Airbnb. She was going to come to the show and really see what it was all about. And that will just hopefully be able to be something that we do together next year. I think that's it for topics this week. Yeah. So I hope everybody is having a good week, that you're trying to use your crafting to keep you going, and to help, through these difficult times, and that everybody is staying safe. And I will see you all in a week, hopefully. Bye.